Robert Glasper, finally.
Yeah.
Finally, we get to meet, because it's been difficult getting our diaries together since you got all popular and Grammy. all Grammy.
Right. You see all the bodyguards I came in here with?
Yeah, the entourage.
It's crazy.
I know. Well, we've got the Dom Perignon out. They're fine.
Thank you. Good.
So we can have a bit of a conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not much of a secret that your plan is to revolutionize jazz. How's that going?
I think it's going pretty well as far as just, bringing it to a bigger audience and, allowing people to know that there's not just one kind of jazz, not one vibe, not one, that there's different eras of jazz, and I'm playing jazz that has something to do with my era.
Yeah.
And telling my story. And at the same time, I'm also exploring other genres that have to do with my story. You know what I mean? Like, the reason I play jazz the way I do is because of the R&B, hip hop, and gospel that I've listened to growing up, and that kind of shaped the way I even play jazz.
One of the things you said about winning the R&B Grammy Award as opposed to the jazz one was nobody else cares about jazz awards other than jazz people.
Right.
So the fact you won and there is this sense that within the genre that it's a very sort of closed group.
It's a secret society. You have to have a little tattoo that says jazz on your arm.
So do you see yourself as still accepted by those people? I know you don't care, but do you see...
Right. I'm accepted. I just think they're angry. You know what I mean? I think because the deal is I purposely made trio records first, so then you can't deny my talent.
Yeah.
You can't deny I'm a good jazz piano player. So they accept me because they know that. And they know that if I played the Vanguard next week, they would come.
Yeah.
But they're mad now because in some people's minds, I turned my back on jazz. You know what I mean? And so...
But we've heard this story before, haven't we?
We've totally heard this story before.
You've been compared to, say, Herbie Hancock.
Right.
So you're the new Herbie Hancock. That's difficult to
I can't even understand. I mean, I know where they're coming from. I know what they're trying to say. But the fact of the matter is Herbie's still alive. And he sounds better than he ever did. He sounds so good.
Yeah.
I've had many conversations with Herbie recently, and he's just...
I bet he just says, keep on doing what you're doing,
exactly.
doesn't he? Yeah.
Totally. He's like, I asked him purposely. I said, because I got a chance to hang out with him and George Duke at the same time in May, just now. And I asked Herbie, I was like, how did you juggle, doing what you did with VSOP and with Headhunters and stuff like that? And he was like, man, I just played. He said, I never compromised one or the other. He said he did them both at the same time. He was like, I just did it. He was like, hey man, just do it. And the thing is, when Headhunters first came out, I even talked to Benny Moppet about this. He was like, people didn't like it. He said they're throwing things at them, booing them at shows because they weren't playing straight ahead jazz. This is supposed to be the Herbie Hancock quartet. What are y'all doing? This isn't, and he said it was not accepted at first.
Yeah.
And then after a while, people were accepting it. It's like, oh, okay. Because when I came around, it was something new, something different.
Well, it's your job to lead, not to follow. If you're going to be a proper artist, that's the way it goes.
Exactly. Yeah? And some people label stuff they don't understand as, oh, what are you doing? It's crazy. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's bogus. I don't understand it, so therefore it's no good.
Exactly. And it's like, no, you're probably not supposed to understand it. I'm supposed to come up with it, and you'll understand it 10 years later.
I want to draw you to your talent. How do I know? Because I don't play the piano. I wish I did. If I had my time all over again, that would be my instrument. How do I know it's you? They say the mark of a great musician is they play one note,
right,
and you know it's them. You qualify. How do I know? Is it your... Because you seem to have this soft touch or something.
That I don't know. That I think most people don't know why they sound the way they sound. I don't know why my voice sounds the way I sound when I'm talking. I just talk. And then people just know it's you.
But it doesn't apply to everyone.
No.
And it applies to a very special few.
Especially when you're talking about an instrument that everybody can sit down and play. It's not even a personal instrument like a trumpet or a sax, where it's like you're breathing into the instrument. You're giving that life. You're literally just pushing down something made of ivory, hitting, in wood. You know what I mean? So it's harder to actually have a sound on the piano. than it is on a lot of
So you don't
instruments.
know. It's as much of a mystery to you as it is
It's a
to
mystery
me.
to me too. I know that as far as sonically, when they say I know your touch, I can't explain that.
Yeah.
Now I can kind of explain. They know my sound, like my musical sound. Like, hey, I heard this song. It sounds like Glasper.
Yeah.
I started hearing that around 2005. People would be like, yo, man. Other people would be like, yo, I was in the rehearsal and the guy was like, yo, man, I kind of want that Glasper sound. And I started hearing that a lot. And I was like, wow, maybe I do have a sound, you know? And it's because of my influences. And I never ignored my influences in the name of jazz. A lot of people do that. They ignore their influences and they say, well, jazz sounds like this. I can't put this in jazz. So I have to ignore what or try to keep it separate. And I never did.
So what you're saying by that is that you're believing in the improvisation of the moment, but you're not being constrained by, well, we've got to have the blues note here or whatever.
Exactly.
Is that it?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's play what you want on the spur of the moment. Anything doesn't have to have particular chords.
No, well, I mean, depending on if you're playing a specific song.
Yeah, of course.
But even then, if you're improvising, I love to change chords that are not supposed to be there. I love to make stuff happen that's not supposed to happen, you know.
Yeah.
It's fun because, especially when you're talking about playing standards and stuff that people have heard a million times. It's like, why do we need to hear it a million and one time? Like, so let's do something different, even if you don't like
particularly live,
Yeah. I love it,
Let's take you on to, I want to take you on to actually one cover because we've been speaking to Diane Reeves just recently.
Nice.
And you did the Dreams
Fleetwood
thing.
Mac, yeah.
So this is the Fleetwood Mac song, rock song, Stevie Nicks' best creation ever, born out of broken relationships and expectation of a fantastic album. I mean, the history of Rumours Fleetwood Mac is phenomenal. And
Absolutely.
And if you've never checked it out, you got to do it. But anyway, so you've taken that song. Why that with Diane Reeves?
You know what? When I rearrange songs for people, she didn't even ask me to do that song. She asked me to do something else, and I kept hearing this Fleetwood Mac song in my head. I hear Diane Reeves. I hear Diane Reeves on the specific part. It's only right. It's only right. Da, da, da. I hear her on that in my head. So when some reason random songs pop into my head for artists, and I just say, hey, do you know this song? If you don't, check it out. She knew, of course, Diane knew the song. She knew of it. She was like, wow, I never thought about doing it. And I was like, great. Can I arrange it for you? She's like, cool. I actually came up with the arrangement in the airport in France. And I literally walked by a piano. They had a piano in the airport.
Yeah.
And I walked by it, and the arrangement came to me at that moment, and I ran over to the piano, and I worked it out in like 5 minutes, and then I recorded it on my phone.
Okay.
And so when I got home, I wrote it out and everything. But the arrangement came to me at that moment.
Have you ever posted that up on YouTube or anything?
No, I haven't. This is my first time actually talking about this arrangement I did with her. I've never talked about it before on any.
Oh, will you do that? I'd love that.
Yeah, actually, sure, yeah.
That's because that's a moment. Actually, I was expecting you to say
Right.
came over in a uniform and said, "Excuse me, you can't play that piano."
Right. It was actually for playing. That's the thing. It was random. It was against the wall. It even said, I think there was a sign.
Oh, right. Play it if you want.
Play
Yeah?
something
Oh,
in
okay.
there.
Yeah, there's a cafe I go into where they have a guitar up on just an acoustic guitar on the wall, and they say, if you want to play it, you play it.
Wow, that's great.
And that's fun. I love that.
That's-
It's just a chance to
Yeah.
let go. Black Radio 1. So you had this idea, right, we're going to get some vocalists in.
Yeah.
You put some phone calls out there.
Yep. Some text, actually.
Some text messages out. So you got text numbers of these various artists and you
Right.
said, okay, you're going to come and do this thing.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I'm doing this record. I want would you be down to do a collab with me? And I just started texting my friends, and they're like, sure, hey, let's do it. Cool. So it's just a matter of, it's a matter of scheduling and when can we do it and all that kind of stuff,
And you did it in all in a very short space of time.
I did it pretty much the whole album in 6 days. And then I'd have to do like 2 or 3 of the vocalists a different day because they couldn't make it to the studio.
Yeah.
But in all, the music you hear, like literally the music you hear was done in 6 days.
What stage did you know that there was going to be a sequel?
I would say I knew there was going to be a sequel probably a month or 2 after the record came out, because so many people loved it. You know, we got so much love and so much support and so much as on Twitter and Facebook, and it just was streaming. People just kept talking about it every day. Like every day you would have thought the record just came out that day because people were freshly talking about it all the time. Even before the record came out, they were like, "Yo, this is the most talked about album anticipation since Watch the Throne, since Jay-Z and Kanye West put out that album together." They were like, people were saying that, and it just, every musician was talking about it, every singer was talking about it. And when it came out and they got so much love, after a month or two, it was like, okay, people were asking, hey, you gonna do a part two? You gotta do a part two. And I was like, sure, let's do it, you know. But originally I wasn't thinking about the part two. I didn't know how the album was gonna do. I just thought it was something cool I wanted to do, and maybe it would be a cool underground type album or something. But it did so much stuff. I really did not expect what it was gonna do. So I feel like it was a movement, you know.
So looking back at that now, if you were picking a track from Black Radio 1, which one stands out in your mind the most? Can you do that?
I'll say Erica, Afro Blue. That was because it's Afro Blue, and the jazz world loves Afro Blue, and John Coltrane played Afro Blue. The fact that I have Erica singing something that John Coltrane has played before is in itself something really cool, you know. And since I'm about bringing genres together and mixing and matching them, I felt that was going to be a really good match, you know.
And we're pretty much out of time. I'm going to go to this sort of extended version of the album. Cool. And Lovely Day. I believe that Bill Withers has got an involvement here. But
yes, that's another universe.
Is that an accident? Yeah,
that's another universe thing. Me and my boys, the very first song we did when we got in the studio was we wanted to sound check a song just to hear, you know, how things and tweak the sounds. So Casey was like, "Yo, let's do Lovely Day," and I was like, "I love that song." We never played it before. We figured it out. And told my engineer, hit record, for fun to see how it sounds. He hit record, we played it, we listened to it. It was like, cool, that sounds great. My boy who brought my keyboards, my Rhodes, Gerald, he said, I know Bill Withers. I'm going to call him and tell him y'all just did Lovely Day.
Yeah.
Calls him, puts me on the phone with him. I talked to Bill for like 5 minutes. He was like, man, thank you for doing my song, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, Bill Withers just called. That's crazy. I just talked to Bill Withers. The next few hours, he walks up the stairs, comes to the studio, and then we literally sat down and listened to him talk for like 3 hours. It was amazing. His stories, you know, he's a legend. He had so many stories. It was just amazing. So he listened to the song live while we were sitting there and loved it. He was like, man, I love you guys' version. I've never heard a version like this ever, you know. And so at that point, we're like, well, this got to go on the album now. It was just for fun, but now it has to go on the album. So he did a drop for us at the beginning of it. You know, we have the little, he kind of intros the song for us. And it wasn't supposed to be on the album. That was just literally for sound check. Excellent. So what you're hearing is the very first time we've ever played that song. Amazing. That's great. Robert Glasper, on with the revolution. Yes, sir. Keep it going. Come back and see us. Let's see if you get another award next year. I don't know what we can drum up for you, but I don't know if you got space for them. But anyway, best luck. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank y'all for supporting me. I really appreciate it. I keep my award up right next to my Grammy.